Hi there, welcome to this week's edition of the Heart of a Youth Leader podcast. I've been speaking to a lot of youth leaders, as I do, and it's a very busy time of the year, isn't it? But it's also made me realise, when is it not a busy time for youth leaders and youth workers? When is it the quiet season? It never seems to be. There always seems to be so much to do. There always seems to be so much that we want to try and complete. We're activists by nature, aren't we? And it's like, that's great, because that's why God's placed us where he has. And we need to be doing lots to reach the next generation with the gospel. But the danger is, I think we can start to think that it is all about us and it relies on us. And the young people rely on us. Our churches rely on us. And I want to remind us, as we go into this busy time of the year, to remember that it's not all about us, but it's all about him. And you go, yeah, Andy, I get that. I agree. Of course it is. But equally, you're thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do in my session this week with the young people? What am I going to do in school? What am I going to do to reach out? What am I going to do next term? What am I going to do to invest in my leaders and my helpers who work with me in the youth work? What am I going to do to support the parents? Great questions, but it's not about us. And whilst there's always loads to do, we've got to be careful that we are always reminding ourselves that it's not about us. It's about him. It's about Jesus. It's about God. And these words from Ephesians chapter 2 I find so helpful. Two of my favourite verses, or three of my favourite verses, it's Ephesians chapter 2 verse 8 to 10. And it says, "For it is by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not from yourselves. It is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast. For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." Wow, isn't it beautiful? That reminder that it's not about us so we can boast about how great I am. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about trying to be attractive to young people and trying for them to think, wow, he's the best person I've ever met. It's about pointing people to God, pointing people to our Father, because it's by his grace that we are saved. It's by his grace that we get to do what we do. It's by his grace, through our faith, that we are transformed into his righteousness. And I love that reminder that we are God's handiwork. The New Living Translation calls it, we are God's masterpiece. And I love that word masterpiece, because if you think of the great masterpieces of art, whether it's the Mona Lisa or the Statue of David or whatever, you look at the masterpiece and you go, wow. But you don't go, well, that painting was an amazing painting that created itself. You go, wow, the artist behind that was phenomenal. And that's why we're described as God's masterpiece, because people look at us and go, wow, the creator behind that person is phenomenal. And that's what we've got to remember, that it's by God we get to do the things we do. And it's through God and by his Spirit that we get to be effective and creative and to do the things that he's got for us to do. Which is why that verse goes on, for we are God's masterpiece, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. So when we're too busy, when we're feeling I can't keep doing this, when we're feeling how am I going to get through this, when we're feeling overwhelmed, we need to stop. We need to pause. And we need to remind ourselves this is about Jesus, not about us. And we need to ask him, of all the things that we need to do, what did you prepare in advance for me to do? What is the real significant things that you want me to do? What are the priorities for this time? And I was talking with a youth worker this week, and we were talking about this, and that sense of, we always want to train young people and to help them understand better how to live a good Christian lifestyle. But you can't live the lifestyle without knowing the life giver. And so our priority in our youth ministry has got to be not having a great time, not entertaining, not having even interesting discussions, but helping our young people to realise the importance of these verses, that it is by grace they are saved, not through what they can do, but through what Jesus has done for them. And they need to realise that they are sufficient. They are God's masterpiece. Before they've even done anything, we are created by the Creator for His delight and His pleasure, and He looks at them as He looks at us and goes, "Wow, another masterpiece." And wouldn't it be great if our young people got that for themselves? In a generation that's more broken than ever, that is struggling with mental health more than any other generation, wouldn't it be great if they realised it's not about what they can do, it's about what He has already done for them? And you know how that starts? It's by you and I as the leaders meditating on that and realising the truth behind that and letting that sink into us, so that when we're communicating with our young people, they'll pick that up and they will know it for themselves, that it's true, and they'll see Jesus through us. And we're not their youth leaders, we're their youth ushers, ushering them into His presence. So in the busyness, make sure you remind yourself of who you are and whose you are. And it's about His grace that makes you His masterpiece. Go for it.